Well, today is National Teacher Day, part of Teacher Appreciation Week. And while we know there are so many teachers we want to shout out this year, we wanted to go to the #1 teacher in Colorado for 2021, Gerardo Munoz, Denver native, DPS graduate, and a middle and high school social studies teacher at Denver Center for International Studies at Baker. He is Colorado's Teacher of the Year. So good morning, Mr. Munoz. Congratulations. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning. Thank you.
And you know, we want to ask you, first of all, how did you do it? I mean, you've been doing this job for decades, but how did you bring that enthusiasm back to the classroom this year especially?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really challenging year, obviously, and just shout out to the 40,000 Colorado teachers who are showing up every day, doing the best that we can. For me, it's because the community always invigorates me. The students teach me, and every year is different. And there's a real joy I feel in navigating whatever challenges we have in front of us with students. We don't have solutions, but we do it as a community. So I think that's what keeps me coming back every year. I would also add, I wouldn't say I'm the #1 teacher, but I represent the great teachers in the state of Colorado.
Awesome, sharing that honor, definitely. So yeah, I mean, this year's been full of challenges. Of course, it began with more focus on social justice and equality issues that came to the forefront of the conversation. How have you brought those into the classroom?
Those have always kind of found their way into my classroom. Part of it was that I grew up around really meaningful community organizing and social justice movements. Part of it is that I try to construct an environment in my classroom where we engage the challenges of the world, whether it's the challenges in my classroom with my own teaching, or whether it's challenges that are facing us as a nation or as a planet. And we listen to each other and tell those stories. I like to say that my class is student-centered and teacher-powered. So they have questions, they have things they care about. I have resources and connections that I can make for them so that they can start educating themselves on the things that are out there. So when we talk about social justice, it's just another day in my classroom because we are intentionally trying to understand the world around us and how we can be the best possible force in that world.
Absolutely. What do you think students need after this year? We're talking Teacher Appreciation Week, but I mean, how do you put that focus back on students?
I think students need for us to acknowledge how much it has taken for them to get through this year. They will need spaces to unpack the things that have happened over the course of the last 14 months. They will need lots of social emotional support to help them transition back into in-person learning. And we all want to be back in person, but we want to be in person in the safest way possible. Students will need to know that they are seen and valued and celebrated and supported. And that comes before any specific academic content. That's the environment that we need to set up for our kids.
Well, thank you, Gerardo Munoz, Colorado's 2021 Teacher of the Year. We appreciate you and your colleagues and all the work you do every single day.
Thank you so much.
Guys, I want to bring everyone in here. I mean, I think we all wish we'd had a teacher like Mr. Munoz. We had some great teachers. Who are some of your favorites you still remember?
Well, I have to mention, first of all, my wife and my mom and my dad, who are all teachers, and they're obviously some of my favorites. But as a student, Terry Fleming was my anatomy teacher my senior year of high school. Obviously, I did not become a doctor, but she was so engaging with the way she taught, and she would, walk between the tables in the classroom. There was a lot of hands-on learning with the labs, and she just got us out of the textbooks. And it was relevant information that I feel like I still use today. And more important than anything, she established relationships with her students, and she wanted to know what you had going on outside of her classroom. And that is so important, especially today with what we have going on.
I've had so many amazing teachers, especially journalism teachers, but I guess in this moment I want to shout out a professor I had at Mizzou named Greeley Kyle. He was the only black journalism professor I had in my entire 4 years, and he was tough. He made me cry on a number of occasions. I think I told him I was going to quit like 3 or 4 times, but through that tough love, he continued to motivate me and really encourage me to pursue this career path, and clearly it worked out. So Professor Kyle, I have to thank him,
It's always those tough love teachers we end up loving so much, right? Mine, not so much tough love. She was amazing. Second grade, Mrs. Farrell. She gave us a lot of candy, and that's why I loved her. But she was just so full of love, so warm. She just made you feel so good. And I think when you're in second grade, that's kind of all you really need, right, to be encouraged.
Yeah. The warm and fuzzy teachers from elementary are the ones I remember. But Mr. Larson was the mean one who made us cry, and I'll never forget him.
And I do have to say, my mom was a teacher before she retired, and she was a fantastic teacher. So I have to shout her out, too, of course.